Is September 6th, and this week's code of conduct is to promote the code. Ben Dow, are you out there?
Yeah. Can you see me?
I do not.
Oh, number 13. That is to I'll say actively encourage the code and promote it, support it
in a positive way.
Yeah.
Excellent job this last week. I know we were just talking kind of short week, so we got to finish this week out strong. We are able to add 7 days to all of our tracking incidents. So 33 from our last recordable, 15 from our last first aid, and 9 from our last vehicle incident. So again, let's try to stay on task, set our priorities in order, and stay focused on the task at hand. And hopefully we can add another day to all those today. Let's be safe out there. So this week and really this upcoming week, we kind of getting a head start of it is Construction Suicide Prevention Week. Ried has a lot of really good stats that he's going to share with us. It's a really big trend that we're seeing in the construction industry is actually on-site suicide. Employees, jumping off buildings or really, ending their lives at work. So it's a big uptick in America. So we brought in Ried Wobby. He's affiliated with the Agency of Vermont. I've known Ried for a long time. So I asked Ried to join us, and he's really a big push of this in the state of Vermont. So take it away, Ried.
Beauty. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Like Matt was saying, this is kind of the beginning of our construction suicide prevention week. I'll just jump right into it. Construction, both nationally and in the state, has one of the highest suicide rates out of any industry. Nationally, construction and extraction has the highest suicide rate out of any industry. About 53.5 people out of 100,000 kill themselves annually in the construction and extraction industry. In Vermont, construction and extraction is second only to forestry and agriculture. So again, very high on the kind of industry outline of suicide rates. The other thing that construction and these things kind of go hand in hand, there's not a causation, but there is a correlation between the two. The other thing that construction has really going against it is an extremely high overdose and substance abuse rate, one of the highest out of any industries, both nationally and in the state. Things that kind of contribute to both of these things, suicidality, dealing with mental crisis, substance use or substance misuse disorder. Some of the common things that can exacerbate those situations are isolation, low income, dealing with family stress, dealing with relationship stress. All of these things can apply more and more and more pressure to someone who's already feeling a little bit of pressure, and those things can end up having that person reaching kind of a boiling over point, right? It's important to remember when we're talking about mental health that it's not a topic that we as Americans, and more specifically we as men, and I'm sure there are women on this call, but I'm talking to the men out there. Men do not like to talk about mental health. They don't like to talk about the problems that they're dealing with. It's not a comfortable conversation to have, right? So that's an important distinction to remember. Another really important distinction to remember is men are 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women are. In a male-dominated industry, you can see this facts. 97.8 of construction suicides are male workers, right? It's already a male-dominated industry. Suicide is already a male. Males are already far more likely to kill themselves. So we're at a kind of double whammy of a disadvantage here, right? So while we are disproportionately affected by suicide, we are also, as male construction workers, we're also not as likely to talk about the problems that we're facing, right? And that's one of the biggest things that I want to talk about here today is we call this destigmatizing the topic. Stigma about around anything, stigma is kind of the negative preconception that people have about a certain place, thing, or something else, right? It's like if you hear, oh, I just got out of jail, right? I was in jail for the last couple of years. There's potentially a negative stigma that would creep into your mind about that person. Oh, I dropped out of college because I was too busy partying. There's a negative stigma that would kind of come into your mind about that person. There's a negative stigma around talking about suicide amongst all people. But again, we're talking about males in construction. There's a stigma that goes against it because we're these strong go-getter people who get things done and who don't take any shit. Nothing affects us. We're going to pound through. That's what we do every day. We come to work early, stay late, and we just pound it through. When it comes to your mental health, there's not that same capability, right? We have to be able to stop and say, we're not we're not doing okay. And for people, whether it's a male or a female, for people in our companies and around us, the people that we care about, for them to be comfortable enough to say, I'm not doing well, they have to really know that we care, right? Very interesting fact. Um, an employer is 5 times more likely to lose an employee due to suicide than they are to what OSHA considers the fatal four: falls, electrocution, struck by, caught between. Um, so far more deadly topic is suicide than is the OSHA Focus 4, which is what we spend in construction the majority of our time worrying about, right? It's important for us to kind of prioritize these things that affect us the most. Obviously, if you're not working on a at heights, you don't need to worry about fall protection. We're working at heights right now without any fall protection. There are suicides that are happening 14 to 15 per day in our industry. And we're just up on the roof without any fall protection. So again, what I really want to talk about today is destigmatizing the topic around mental health and suicide prevention. It's okay to not be okay. Nobody is doing okay all the time. We all go through ebbs and flows of doing really well and not doing well, right? It's important to recognize that in yourself. If you're not doing okay, you need to have somebody you can talk to, whether it's your wife, whether it's me, whether it's Matt, whether it's Ken. You have to have someone in your life that you can talk to. Your life is more than just work, but you do a big portion of your life at work, right? So you need to have people at work that you can lean on, that you can rely on, that you can say, I need help with this, right? If you don't, you need to find someone. We all could do better to be that person for somebody by what we like to say is actively caring for people, right? Actively caring for people sounds really hokey, but it doesn't require much. It requires that you know your people as people, and your people, whether you're a first day laborer, a 10-year foreman, a 25-year superintendent, we all have people on our job sites. That crew that you work with, the crew that you rely on, those people that you see every day. You need to know them as people, not just as Ried, the excavator operator, Ried, the laborer who always shows up half cocked, right? You need to know them as people. And that means like talking to them every once in a while. Hey, you got any kids? Hey, how's your wife? What are your kids doing? We need to know small but important things about people so that I can recognize when Matt comes up and talks to me, he's not just saying, hey, Ried, my shovel dragger. He's talking to me, Ried, as a person, right? Knowing that you're cared for is an extremely important and undervalued attribute of a good leader. Caring for those people, right? That's an extremely important and undervalued. Um, the other thing that we need to recognize is if you're not doing okay, there are a multitude of resources that are out there that are here to provide you. And out there, on the national level, out there on the state level, and out there on the ECI level, there are resources there to help you. Matt's got a couple great ones up here. 988, the suicide crisis line. That's a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week call, text, or online chat available crisis lifeline with licensed counselors there to help you deal with the crisis that you're going through. The suicide prevention, the Construction Industry Alliance for Suicide Prevention, that's got a bunch of great resources out there for you, kind of like leaders on job sites. One of the big things that we can do about to help destigmatize the topic around suicide and mental health is exactly what we're doing today. Talk about it more. The more that we talk about fall protection, the more that we think about fall protection, the more that we care about fall protection. The same goes for suicide and mental health and overdose prevention. We need to talk about these things more. People need to know that they're cared for and that they're heard. And we need to know that if someone comes to us, if we go to someone with a problem, that there are solutions to that problem, right? So the Suicide Crisis Lifeline, the Construction Industry Alliance are great national resources. Invest EAP is an amazing local resource, and they can help you with a multitude of things, not just suicidal crisis, financial crisis, relationship crisis. You just need advice. They can help you. There's a multitude of counselors that Invest EAP has. The last thing that I want to talk about in destigmatizing the topic is it's easy to kind of like make jokes. You know what I mean? We all make jokes. Fucking worst day I've had in a long time. I'm gonna go home and I'm just gonna blow my brains out. I can't do this job anymore. It's been the worst summer I've ever had. We need to remember that while we might not mean that, and we're just kind of like blowing off some steam and using these just jokes, colloquial terms, colloquially, we need to remember that if someone is feeling suicidal or if someone is dealing with crisis, and we hear those jokes being made, right? If I'm dealing with crisis and I hear somebody joking about suicide, it's going to be really hard for me to believe that those people actually care about me and will listen to me if I say, I'm dealing with crisis. I need to talk to you guys right now about something serious. I can't do it because they just made a joke, and I don't know if they take this shit seriously, right? So we need to be really, really and again, I'm from construction. I get it. I'm not saying like watch your mouth, no swearing on site. That's not what I'm saying. I get the conversation and the language used on our job sites. I'm just saying we need to be aware of how the conversation and the jokes that we make around both suicide, drug use, drug misuse, and overdose, how those things can affect people both here and now and in the future when they might be dealing with crisis, right? So again, and if people have questions, I'll in 1 minute I'll open it up to any quick questions. But again, just to recover the things that we've talked about, Construction Suicide Prevention Week is happening next week. We're kicking it off a day early. But for you leaders out there, I would absolutely suggest or request one of the days next week on your job sites really quickly. Do a 5-minute huddle, do a toolbox talk, whatever it is. Talk to your people who might not be on this meeting. Let them know it's Construction Suicide Week. We're here for you. There are resources there, et cetera, et cetera. And continue the conversation after this week. The biggest thing that we can do to destigmatize is to continue the conversation after just these like one-off events. It's not enough to let people know you care one day a year. We have to continue to let them know that we care. It's not enough to tell people to wear fall protection one time a year. We have to continue to remind people that there are things out there that can help, right? So continue the conversation and remember, and continue to let people know that nobody is okay all the time. It's okay to not be okay. You're not expected to just bite your tongue and suffer silently if you're not okay. There are resources out there for you to call, and there's no shame in not being okay. We've all gone through rough patches, and we will all go through rough patches again. Please, if you're struggling, reach out to a resource, reach out to me, to 988, or to one of the counselors at Invest EAP. I really appreciate your time this morning. I know that was a lot to throw at you early, but Matt, thank you for having me. And if anybody's got questions for me, I'm happy to stick around after the meeting for a couple minutes.
Thanks, Ried. We really appreciate it. And
Absolutely.
you're muted. Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
was just making sure there's no questions. Certainly, if there is, we can follow up after.
But I think
Thank
one
you,
thing,
Ried. Mhm.
thing, Ken, that Ried hit on that's important is to look out for each other. And
Right.
we know when there's something up with someone. And if we can treat that the way we treat everything else in our culture, is to try to help people when things are small and try not to let people get to that point. So it's part of the culture to kind of actively support each other and encourage people to get help. The people over at Champlain Medical do a good job at talking with people as well. If you get something that's bothering someone, and get them to join the wellness program, because I know that Beth and the people over there, they look out for stuff like that as well when they talk to people. But thanks, Ried. That was good. Let's look out for each other out there. And it takes a lot of courage to approach someone that's got a problem. It's a lot easier to go and talk to everyone else about, oh, did you see so-and-so this morning? Oh man. It takes a lot more courage to just go up and talk to them when everyone's out of the way and offer them some support. So that's
I couldn't
good
agree.
program.
I couldn't agree more, Ben. And I'll just wrap up my section by saying again, it does take courage. When you see something, say something.
Yeah.
Just like you would if you saw this is no different than walking on a roof 20 feet in the air with no fall protection. That's how we need to treat this. This is a topic that is killing the people around us, just like falling off a roof is. You wouldn't look the other way. You wouldn't walk away if you saw somebody 20 feet up on a roof without fall protection. Don't look away. Don't walk away. Don't say nothing if you see somebody struggling. The best way that we can help our people is by saying something and by being there for our people. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ried.
Thank you, Ried. A very important topic and well presented. We're going to switch on to our regular format is to switch to announcements and then on to a project of the week discussion. You're very welcome to stick around and listen in, and perhaps there's some questions that come up at the end of the meeting. So I'm going to share the screen. You're welcome.
There we go. We got it, Ken.
Okay, good. All right. So suicide prevention. Thank you, Ried. Announcements. The 304 keys and locks. I put this out there last week. Will be phased out because they've been around a long time. So the safety department is coordinating replacements. So next time you get a visit from safety, they will help you change out locks.
Remind us, because it's not in our normal scope of what we do. So remind us to ask us for locks.
Yeah, and them. Make sure they're doing their job. Thanks, Tom. Let's see that old announcement. I'd just like to get it out there more and more, because it's an exciting thing is that we had a profit sharing distribution a couple weeks ago, where the company contributed a total of $250,000 to the ECI 401k profit sharing plan, and the employees were allocated 1.91% of each person's 2023 wages. So excited that that's happened.
That's in addition
Mulch hay,
to
we
the
talked-
3%, Ken. That's in addition
In
to the
addition to your
3%.
3%, this is a bonus extra. Hey, we did good last year. Let's keep it up and maintain the momentum. And here's a share for everybody. So mulch hay, we talked about that. We'll take it off next week, but store it up at Bushy Pit and then make sure you return excess bales to that location. Today also is the Morgan Stanley Financial Advisor meeting at ECI. So if you have a meeting, remember that you signed up, and I don't know if there are any open slots. If not, we do this pretty much monthly, so it should be easy to catch up next month. And join our Facebook and Instagram by clicking these links. We have a new employee. We have Bryce Aldrich. Welcome, Bryce. Bryce is going to be with the Heavy Civil Group. And the link to the ECI Primary Care Wellness Program, the summary, and I think after hearing Ried, what I'm lacking on this little section of our newsletter and our format is just the EAP contact info. We'll get that on there because that's an important thing that goes along with the wellness program. And this week we're going to talk about the VTrans Morristown emergency repair replacement of culvert. Let's see, is Cody out there?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, do you want to present?
Yeah, you can drive. I'll follow along
Okay.
if you don't mind driving.
All right, I'll scroll up here a little bit. Go ahead.
So in the morning, everyone. So in March of this year, VTrans contracted with ECI to replace a failing 42-inch galvanized metal pipe underneath Route 15 in Morristown. The original culvert was installed in the 1950s when this section of Route 15 was realigned and filled in to lessen the steep grades at this spot. VTrans had recently repaved this stretch of road in 2022, and the new 72-inch steel culvert was specified to be installed via pipe ram. ECI mobilized to the project in May and began installing the access roads and cofferdams. The site was extremely tight. The inlet side of the project had a house that was literally inches from the work. Fortunately for us and the homeowners had recently built a new house farther back on the property, so there was no one living in the house any longer. But VTrans still required that we install vibration monitoring on the property to make sure there was no damage to the structure. In the first picture you can see, I mean, the house is literally like right there.
Right. You're on the front porch.
literally on the front porch. I will say that we had our bumps and bruises with the homeowners there, but they were overall they were very accommodating and reasonable with us. So not so much with VTrans. They don't like VTrans. Then the outlet side there was a little bit more room, but still it was not a very big location once you get all the equipment down in there. So the sheet pile installation was also challenging due to the soft soils. Sheets had to be welded together and braced to prevent the entire line of sheets from sinking with each new pair that was installed. During the sheet pile installation on the inlet side, we discovered an obstruction. It turned out to be a concrete box culvert that predated the galvanized pipe that we were contracted to replace. And it was determined that this box would actually conflict with the installation of the new culvert. And VTrans decided to shift the new pipe 4 feet to the west to avoid the box. So he was driving the sheets on the outlet. What's that?
We got a picture of it coming up later.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this is the outlet side, and you can see there's a couple H piles and some sheets in the background that we had to use to kind of hold up our pants basically while we were driving the sheets around the corner there. And then again, the crane next to the house, it was just, I mean, it was extremely tight there. Here's Willie and the guys putting some tiebacks in. And actually, you can see Willie standing on the top of that box culvert, actually, right there. Nathan doing some tieback testing. Nate's an expert in the tieback testing department now. He'd love to conduct any testing on any tieback anchors on any other job. So I'll put that plug out there for him.
Yep. I appreciate that.
Especially right now, while he's working nights over on 2.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the left hand, this is the inlet side. So on the left-hand side of the picture, you can see the pipe that we were supposed to replace. And then right next to it, where we found this nice treasure trove of a box culvert. And the yellow paint was the approximate alignment. So it would have, of the new pipe. So it would have clipped that wing wall right there in order to get it in.
Mm-hmm.
The V-Train didn't know it was there.
Well, it was shown on the historic plans, but they assumed that it was removed. So we used our JT 2020 directional drill to conduct a pilot bore to achieve line and grade for the new pipe. The drill pulled back a 5-inch temporary steel casing, to which we welded a 5-inch by 36-inch reaming head onto it, so that we could attach a 36-inch diameter temporary steel casing, which we would ram ahead of the final product pipe. The 36-inch by 100 lineal foot long temporary casing was rammed in with our 14-inch Colas hammer. A 36-inch diameter casing was selected since it was suspected that there might be a large number of obstructions present in this fill. So the 36-inch diameter casing would allow for easier access should we need to get into the pipe to remove any obstructions. Fortunately, spoiler alert, we didn't hit any obstructions. So,
Or it swallowed up the stuff that have
exactly. Yeah. Nothing that prevented us from driving the pipe, I guess. So once the 36-inch casing was installed, we welded a 36-inch by 72-inch reaming head onto that, to which we could attach the product pipe, the 72-inch casing, and we could ram that into place. We utilized a 24-inch Taurus hammer powered by an 1800 CFM air compressor for the 72-inch pipe ram. While a 20-foot stick of the 36-inch pipe could be rammed in 20 or 30 minutes, a 20-foot stick of the 72-inch pipe took an average of 2 hours. And Tom gave me a little bit of grief for putting that in there because he said 2 hours is still a pretty good time for ramming that pipe. But as someone who doesn't do this a lot, I thought it was just interesting to know how long it did take to push a pipe into the ground. So during the 72-inch pipe ram, the settlement of the pavement was noticed directly above the pipe route. It was likely caused by some pre-existing voids, like a box culvert. We encountered a lot of woody debris and maybe even some boulders and stuff that might have gotten pushed around as a result of the vibrations. But it was ultimately determined that ECI was not at fault, and V-Trans will be paying ECI to fix the settlement by doing some milling and shimming with the pavement. Also to note, this was the first project that we utilized a casing compass. This is a sensor that we attached to the top of the 36-inch casing that would measure the slope of the pipe as it was installed. And then we could use the results to compare to see how we were tracking to the design slope. This is our drill doing the pilot bore here, sitting on our slab, our temporary slab.
So you drilled uphill here, right?
Drilled uphill, yep.
Yep.
And then the next pictures are the 2 reaming heads that we used for the project.
So would you say the diameter of 5-inch for the pilot bore?
Yep, 5 to 36, and then 36 to
72.
72.
Wow.
And this is them putting in the 36-inch casing here with the Colas hammer. I believe it's Willie and maybe Matt in the background there. This is them finishing the 36 and welding on the larger reaming head. Mike Calvin and Matt Kiefer there welding.
And the welding process takes longer than driving.
Absolutely. It's about a little over a day per 72-inch joint with 2 to 3 welders.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this
Like
was
the
setting up.
fire extinguisher you had there too, mounted on the sheets in the last picture.
This was the
Back
first.
it up so that our safety department sees that. Pretty cool. Okay, continue, please.
Yeah, this is the first 72-inch pipe getting set up to go. It was a 10-foot piece because we had a 130-foot stretch of pipe to put in. I think it's John Still, Mike, and maybe Calvin, I think, in the background there. And then from the first to the last piece of pipe, I believe that's Brian running the hammer there.
It's a lot of pipe to push.
Bang, bang. Yeah.
So once the entire 129-foot pipe had been installed, we began to muck out the inside of the pipe, which we utilized several different methods, including augering, jetting and vacuuming, and mucking out with a skid steer. In the end, we were able to auger roughly 90 feet of the pipe, and we used the last 40 feet or so we'd use with a skid steer. The fill inside the pipe varied from cobbles, sandy, and gravel to silty, dense clay with lots of small to medium cobbles, wood, and all kinds of other junk that we found. So that's Brian running the 42-inch auger bit there. And then we ended up upsizing it, putting I think it was a 62-inch diameter bit in there, the two of them, to help kind of center the guide to the bore there. It just shows some of the stuff that was coming out the other end. Lots of wood, lots of rock, and just fine, silty, dense, wet clay.
Like this
and
one.
even a timber.
A little of everything.
Yeah. After the pipe was cleaned, we had to inspect the grout ports inside the pipe, and it was determined that no contact grouting would be required since the soils had consolidated around the entire pipe and there was no void space up against the pipe. Each end of the pipe was excavated to prepare for the cast-in-place head walls, which was performed by ECI's concrete crews. There's the outlet footing poured. That's Jerome making some final modifications to the head wall. The final product. So V-Trans required that after we put this nice big 6-foot pipe in, that we had to fill 2 feet of it with stone fill for a natural stream bed. You know, we used the walk behind skid steers to put the stone fill in the pipe, and then the head walls were backfilled and the stream channel was restored inside the cofferdam. Sheets then were pulled and allowing water to travel down the new pipe. We had to flow fill not only the 42-inch steel pipe, but we also had to flow fill the box culvert, which was given to us as a change order. That box culvert had a void that was 52 feet deep down the box culvert underneath the center of the road. The skid steer that they used to fill the pipe. Calvin doing some hand manipulation of the rock in the pipe. Pipes full and backfilling inside the sheets. So crews this week are wrapping up the final punch list items, restoring the site. Our landscaping subcontractor will be doing the plantings today and Monday. And then, we're still working with V-Trans on finalizing the price, but Jim and Daryl, the guys, will be paving the bump here in the next couple weeks as well. So this was a great project, a multidiscipline project for ECI with heavy civil, trenchless, concrete, and soon to be paving, contributing to its success. And, you know, with all the issues and bumps and stuff we had along the way, we basically were able to finish the project on time and on budget.
Nice.
And this is the almost complete outlet. There'll be some trees and shrubs there today.
Wow.
That looks good. And it's got a little plaque there, a little state of Vermont plaque on the side of the outlet head wall, huh? Or that's the outlet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that was the 4th of July picture.
Oh, okay, with the flag, yeah. I
Yeah.
see. All right, cool. Very cool.
It's not as
good.
big as Phil's flag, but it'll do.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to keep up with the other guys, huh? Well, thank you very much, Cody. That was a great project. I will move on to and good job for everyone who worked on it. We'll move on to the photo archives. This is up on just off Route 15. A lot of you will recognize this at the Jeffersonville Mobile. And this was when we were working for paving, was working under our name AC Paving at that time. We've since merged it into Engineers Construction to work all under the same name and the same team. So, and that's what I have. I'm going to turn it over to the safety department to close it out the meeting. But I also like to see if Ried's still out there, if he can give us his contact info in case someone wants to contact him personally and directly about any of what he talked about. Ried, are you still out there?
So he texted, he had a meeting that he had to run off to
Okay.
at 7, but his contact number, if anyone wants to read is 802-793-7715. Again, 802-793-7715. And I have that, so if anyone wants to just reach out to me first, I can pass that along.
And just not safety reminder, maybe we need to talk about it in more detail. It's just this triple E issue. I just got another email from UVM Health here about the hazards. So, and I'm sure everyone's heard about it, but let's just be aware.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's on our list probably for next week, or if not the following week.
Okay.
Yep.
All
Bug
right.
spray.
And if
Okay.
you see bug spray at the store, pick it up, because I was
Mhm.
gonna pick up a bunch for everybody, and it was like Lysol wipes after or when COVID first started. So if you
Oh.
see it, get it.
Bug spray.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Okay.
Well, let's have
Thank you.
Let's have a
Everybody.
safe day. If you're watching the group setting, just send over a text. I already received a bunch of it, so I appreciate that. And let's have a safe day. Let's have a great day.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.